Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The last time I spoke to you, Joe Biden was still running for president in 2024. How things have changed. Yeesh. I put on Twitter yesterday, what a wild string of days we've had. It's been unreal, but yet here we stand today, and the left is always worried about democracy. But that's out the window. Let's recap about the left and democracy. They screwed Bernie Sanders out of a nomination twice. They told Joe no because it was Hillary's turn. When Hillary lost that election, they said it was because of Russia. They put their thumbs on the scale in 2020, and now they've outed a candidate that 14 million Democrats voted for. So who's the threat to democracy? The Dems trashed their entire primary process and installed a candidate. And you'll hear in a couple audio clips today that I got for you, the focus is beating Trump. And that's the biggest difference between the left and right today. The right's focus is fixing America for Americans. The left's focus is beating Trump. We're not the same. This was inevitable. My wife and I, we have a friend, and we were talking about this guy, and this friend was more middle of the road, more independent, and recently went full Trump, 200%. And my wife said, wow, you talking to me, you changed that person's mind. And I said, no, I didn't. Joe Biden changed his mind. I can't take any credit for that. I didn't change any minds. You just look at what Joe Biden's done in the last 3 years, and that's how his mind changed. I can take no credit for that. And I think that the Democrat Party came to the realization that millions of Americans felt the exact same way. Obviously. So, I do wonder if Trump doesn't turn his head on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania, is Joe Biden still in the race? I wonder. These are questions I have. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night. If Donald Trump doesn't turn his head, does Joe Biden drop out of the race? I don't know. And as the announcement starts coming out, we get a nice little letter from Joe. He doesn't quite endorse Kamala Harris in his first letter fully. And then a tweet comes out later. But a lot of people are asking, where is Joe Biden? Where is this guy?
Not physically seeing him even address a camera in Delaware, let alone an Oval Office statement like LBJ did when he dropped out in March of 1968. It is disconcerting, isn't it?
Right, they didn't even release a White House still photograph. Nothing. So I hope he's fine. But you could forgive people for wondering if we are really living Weekend at Bernie's right now. Like, proof of life, please.
Proof of life, please. Proof of life. Is Joe Biden okay? They're talking about the last minute decision that completely blindsided White House staff. Daily Mail has an article, and they said that they gave them about a minute notice. Despite weeks of crisis talks and dozens of Democrats calling for him to step down, Joe Biden's Sunday decision to withdraw still managed to take America and most of the White House and campaign staffers by surprise. That I guess what they're saying is that they were finally able to convince a reportedly angry Biden to draft a letter saying it was time for him to step aside for the good of the Democrat Party when donors started pulling millions of dollars in pledged funds, and the list of elected Democrats just kept growing by the minute. They finally convinced him. Daily Mail says that he drafted the letter, but let's be honest. They said, this is the letter you're going to use. And I think that the question becomes, if he can't run for 2024, should he be president today? Jill Biden allegedly was by her husband's side when he made the historic call, giving into the mounting pressure. But a spokeswoman for the First Lady said it was the president's judgment alone and confirmed he made it late. Down to the last hours of the decision only he could make, she, Jill Biden, was supportive of whatever road he chose, the spokeswoman said. She's his biggest believer, champion, and always on his side in that trusted way only a spouse of almost 50 years can be. Yeah, she must be the most upset woman in America this morning. The money's drying up. You're going to have to go back to Rehoboth. They have plenty of money. She'll be okay. CNN was also wondering, where is Joe Biden? Scott Jennings had this to say.
Is it interesting to you that we haven't seen a picture of Joe Biden today? We don't have a picture of him signing the letter. I mean, this is a huge decision. Also, the letter doesn't say why exactly he's stepping down. Why is he stepping down? He's the current. We've been talking about this for weeks. He's the current president. He's now apparently unable to continue in his race. We don't know why exactly he is stepping down. I think Republicans who are raising concerns about his fitness to lead today have good questions today, and now they're unanswered by this letter and the mystery surrounding him today.
No answer on why he's stepping down. He just needs to. I think everybody understands why. The mental decline is real, and the fact that he wasn't going to beat Trump is even more real. So they had to do something. They had to do something. And now a lot of people on the left are framing this as, Joe, gosh darn it, he's so heroic and he's so selfless. Hakeem Jeffries said just that. This is a heroic, selfless act by Joe Biden.
Leader Jeffries, we know that you spoke to the president today. What's your reaction to the news that he's dropping out of the race and endorsing Vice President Harris?
Well, Joe Biden has been one of the most consequential presidents in American history. He rescued the country from a once-in-a-century pandemic, saved the economy from the possibility of recession, and also, of course, was able to preserve our democracy by defeating the former president, the insurrectionist in chief, and someone who wants to turn back the clock on the United States of America.
Remember, that's Joe's real only accomplishment, is that he won in 2020. Everything else they said is a joke. He saved the country. He saved the country.
He has put people over politics and patriotism over personal position. And this is another heroic act in a long-running series of heroic acts by Joe Biden on behalf of the American people from the moment he was first elected back in 1972 to the United States Senate.
He's so heroic. Can you feel? You can look at Joe Biden and the heroism is just dripping off of him. This is the new talking point. Joe Biden is a hero. He's selfless and he's a patriot. And we've heard this from many, many on the left, including Hakeem Jeffries, including Eric Swalwell. He said exactly the same thing, almost verbatim.
This decision by Joe Biden shows the difference between a selfless president and in Donald Trump, a selfish person. So I first have immense gratitude toward Joe Biden. He's always put country above everything else. It has bookended his life. If you think about it, he was elected as a senator, and then his wife and daughter died, and he still healed his family and helped his constituents. And then his son, Beau, died as he's leaving the vice presidency, and 4 years later answered the call to save his country and beat Donald Trump in a landslide. And
that's all they really have to say about Joe's accomplishments. He beat Donald Trump. They're not going to bring up the fact that the 51 former intelligence agents lied about Hunter's laptop and that would have swayed the election. They're not going to talk about the fact that the pandemic came from China and that changed everything on how the election was operating. But, you know, Joe beat Donald Trump. And gosh darn it, that's good enough for the left. He is a hero. Don't get it twisted. Everybody understands that Joe Biden's a hero. He's an American patriot. That's the new narrative. Even Rachel Maddow jumped in on the Joe Biden is a patriot and a hero act.
I mean, this is history writ large. You know, we'll all remember where we were and what we were doing at this moment. And just thinking about the president right now, you know, what a man, what a patriot. What an act of selfless devotion to your country. And he has been a phenomenal president.
He's been a phenomenal president? A phenomenal president with a wide open border, rampant inflation, 2 new wars. A phenomenal president? Phenomenal. The botched Afghanistan withdrawal? Phenomenal. East Palestine, Ohio, fantastic. He handled it with grace. Lahaina with the wildfires. Oh, who could have done it better than Joe?
He brought us back from COVID. He gave us the best recovery from COVID of any major nation on earth at a time when the world has economically been struggling in the wake of COVID. The Biden economy is literally the envy of the world. He ended the presidency of Donald Trump at one disastrous term.
Again, when they're listing his accomplishments, really the only thing that these lefties are grateful for with Joe is that he won in 2020. He's done nothing else of note.
And he did it while being decent and civil.
Decent and civil. Didn't they have topless transgenders on the White House lawn during the Joe Biden presidency? And was that a bad dream? Is that real? Maybe. Decent and civil.
And honorable.
Honorable. Joe Biden, honorable.
And normal. And occasionally boring at a time when boring was absolutely what we needed. And I just, his career of decades in public service as a senator and as a very successful vice president and as a phenomenally successful president, there is no single thing that he has done in that entire career that is a greater or more consequential act of service and sacrifice to this country than what he has done today.
So he's a phenomenal president. He has a fantastic record. He beat Donald Trump, but there is nothing he's done that's been greater than quitting. What? Make it make sense. The left, they're doing their best to celebrate Joe Biden. They're doing their best. Rachel Maddow wasn't even the worst. The worst was our boy Van Jones. Van Jones went on TV and he's a grown man. He's a grown man, and I made the point during the meeting. He goes, I'm not knocking you for crying on TV. Like there are times I get emotional. It's bound to happen to the best of us, right? But you're crying for Joe Biden. That's what Van Jones did over the weekend.
Even people who are pushing for this to happen, it's kind of like when your grandpa, you got to take the keys, and everybody, you got to take his keys, you got to take his keys, you got to, and he's fighting, and everybody's so frustrated, and then you finally get the keys back, and then you just cry, because this is somebody that you love, this is somebody that you care about, this is somebody who was there for you, this is somebody you wouldn't be here without him, and you had to take something from him. Now, this is not, look, this politics is politics, but this is a human moment for one of the great humans in America. This is a huge moment for him, for his family, for all of us who love him.
It's a great moment for a great human in America. A great human who raised, the smartest guy he knows in Hunter Biden, who just smokes crack and drives through residential neighborhoods at over 170 miles per hour. A great human that takes showers with his daughter until far too old of an age, according to her own diary. What a great human that Joe Biden is. And they get on TV and they celebrate him and they cry. And they're so grateful for Joe. But Van Jones says it himself. He's like, we're taking the keys away. Okay. So you're acknowledging that he can't do the job anymore. Then he should resign immediately. If he can't be president 2024 on, how are we going to trust him for the next 4 months? What do you think China is thinking right now? What do you think Russia is thinking right now? What about North Korea? Do you think that they look at this and they go, well, we got 4 months to make some moves? That's what I would do. Wouldn't you? We got more on the way, more reactions from Joe Biden. Plus, we'll get into Kamala Harris, who quite a few people are endorsing today. We'll get into the endorsements. We'll get into your phone calls and more. 615-737-9986. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand here for Paul Winkler, Inc. Sometimes retirement comes a little bit sooner than you think it might. Look at Joe Biden's situation. He didn't predict that he was going to be retiring this soon, but he is. Well, do you have your finances in order for your retirement? It could be here sooner than you know. And if you're investing the right way, that could be a positive thing. It could be here sooner than you know. Well, talk to my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. You probably know Paul. He hosts the investor coaching show here on WTN every Saturday. But you may not know that he started that show after he spent time studying under a Nobel Prize winning economist. That's pretty cool. And he's an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now. So my wife and I, we work with Paul. We love meeting with Paul. We got another meeting with him here in a couple weeks. And we were fans of Paul's before I got my show here. When I got my show here, I was like, it was such an easy choice. Please introduce me to Paul Winkler. And it's because Paul's team hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. Because of that, Paul wants to make sure that I tell you I get paid to do these commercials. He wants the honesty. He wants the transparency. Where else do you hear that? I like that. I also like that Paul's team does nothing on commission. I like that Paul's team really focuses on education. That's been huge for me. When I first started meeting with Paul, I considered myself financially illiterate. I really get it now, and they can break this down for you in the exact same way. They're going to look at your whole financial picture and then help you make some decisions. But it starts by setting up a phone call, and you can set up yours today. A 15-minute phone call. Set it up at paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Secret Service chief on the hot seat. Details. We'll let you hear how it's going down at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Looking forward to that and happy to have you back, Ken. It's
good to be back, Brother Chris.
It's good to hear you, man. It's 9:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You know, Van Jones wasn't the only leftist in full meltdown and crying mode yesterday when Joe Biden made that announcement. No, he wasn't the only one. Chris Coons also decided to cry on national TV. What is with these guys?
Joe Biden is grounded. He's grounded in his faith, in his family, and in our state. Excuse me. I'm sorry. This was a very difficult decision.
I'm sorry. For
the past 3 years.
Yeah, honestly. Chris Coons, he's so upset. I mean, Chris Coons, to be just full disclosure, he loves Joe Biden so much that he'll let Joe sniff his daughter even when his daughter's uncomfortable with it. In many such cases, it's on film if you don't believe me.
I can taste it.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Joe Biden's brother, not the one everybody knows about, but old Frank. Have you heard of Frank Biden?
I've not heard of Frank Biden.
Frank Biden's making comments.
He owns that hot dog brand, right?
Yes. Frank Biden he's blaming all this on Joe Biden's health. The family is pushing back. They say that's not the case, but Frank Biden disagrees. Frank Biden said, no, this is a health decision, which begs the question, if it's a health decision, why is he still running the White House? And I use air quotes.
Younger brothers, and here's what he told us. He said, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He is a genuine hero. Country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act.
Yeah, so it's a health decision. One thing I really want you to take note of, and I have more audio from CBS and Frank Biden on the way, they're framing this as the focus is beating Trump. And I think that is mask off full exposure of the Democrats. Their focus is not helping American citizens. Their focus is not helping you and your family. Their focus is defeating Trump. Orange man bad by any means necessary. I have more audio from Frank Biden on the way. Plus, we're going to start digging into Kamala Harris. Sound good? Sounds good. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to tell you about the potential for showers and thunderstorms for the much-needed rain this week in Middle Tennessee during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheadle facing the House Oversight Committee's questions over the failure to prevent an attempt on former President Trump's life. Chairman James Comer says this is a nonpartisan issue.
Bottom line is that under Director Cheadle's leadership, we question whether anyone is safe. Not President Biden, not the First Lady, not the White House, and certainly not the presidential candidates.
Election 2024, Democrats going to be debating new presidential nominating rules. Now that Biden has dropped out of the race, the DNC's co-chairs say the plan will be transparent and fair to anyone seeking the nomination. Even though Biden has endorsed Kamala Harris for the top spot, it is still up to the delegates to make that decision. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
9:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, good morning. It's Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. You can listen to us everywhere you go with the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app. Watch us on Super Talk TV, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all the things. You can even podcast the show. If you miss anything, we're on Apple and Spotify. Real quick, Tim in Nashville has a comment on the Dems nominee. Tim, you're up next on Super Talk. What's going on?
I just think anybody that paid attention to what's going on wouldn't be surprised that Biden bowed out. I mean, everybody's been predicting that on the right for several months now. I think to believe that he was going to stick around would be about as naive as to believe is that we had a legitimate election last time we sat down to vote for Trump and Biden.
I'm with you, Tim. I hear you, man. It's wild. I appreciate the call. I do. It pains me to say that conservatives for Biden failed. You know, we really wanted to keep him in there. We really did. We tried our best. It was a worthwhile fight, but we did fail.
I had the T-shirts ready and everything.
I know.
The hit print and all was all I needed to do.
I know. It's a shame. Joe Biden's brother, Frank, the lesser known of the Bidens, he went on record and said that this is a health decision. And he talked to CBS News about it.
Younger brothers, and here's what he told us. He said, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He is a genuine hero. Country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act.
Defeat Trump at any cost. I do find it odd, though, that the statement says, I want to enjoy whatever time we have left. Is he kind of saying that whatever he has is terminal? I don't know. Maybe. Just an interesting layer there. I mean, he is 81. He is declining fast. I wouldn't blame the guy for wanting to spend some time with his brother, but they asked him point blank, is this decision about health?
We asked him whether he feels that his brother's overall health and vitality played a major role in this decision, and he says, in my humble opinion, absolutely. So a member of the president's family now confirming that the president's health was indeed a major factor in this decision, and calling his brother a hero for making the decision to pass the torch to Kamala Harris.
He's a hero, and we have one Biden on record saying that it was about health. 100%. Joe's health is declining. That was the factor in the decision making. 100%, according to Frank Biden.
So, Nancy, sorry, can you clarify that the family is saying his health was or was not a factor?
He's saying that in his humble opinion, yes, the president's health and vitality played a considerable role in his decision. It's important to note, Frank Biden is not speaking for the family writ large. This was simply a conversation between CBS News and Frank Biden. Unclear how much input he had in this decision, but he says that he believes that his brother's health did play a role, and he says that the goal remains the same: to defeat Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. Defeat Trump. Defeat Trump by any means necessary. The family of Joe Biden, Jill, Hunter, the White House, the establishment, if you will, they say it actually has nothing to do with health, and they also say that Frank Biden is an alcoholic. That's literally what they said.
That is notable because to date, the family, the White House, the establishment has rejected the premise that there was anything that was challenging the president's mental acuity or his health, and that all these accusations were baseless, that it was just age and a few, difficult nights like he had on the debate stage.
Yeah, in a tweet, they say Frank Biden suffers from alcoholism and hasn't spoken to his brother in weeks. What he said is completely untrue. Completely untrue. I don't know. I believe Frank. Alcoholic or not, I mean, you can see what's happening with Joe Biden. You can see it. So Now, where do we go next? Everybody's lining up for Kamala Harris. Everybody's lining up for Kamala Harris. Everybody's on the Kamala train, which I don't know why. She loses to Trump in the polling. She's inherently unlikable. I think Hillary Clinton may be more likable than Kamala Harris. And I keep coming to this point in my mind where it's like they don't think they can win no matter who's in there. They don't think they can win no matter who's in there. And we've been talking, well, you get Joe Biden out, and then you got the Kamala Harris problem. Well, if they think they're not going to win in 2024 no matter what, you make Kamala Harris the nominee, and then she gets the L. And then she's out of the way for 2028. Any smart Democrat I don't see going near this job with a 10-foot pole currently. Do you think Gavin Newsom is going to campaign for 4 months and try to become president and take a loss when he could just wait and do it the right way in 2028? Do you think Wes Moore is going to jump into the fray now? Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. I've been waiting to make that mistake.
I was just thinking of Ben Shapiro on the Democratic stage at the DNC. Just hypothetically, if I was the Democratic nominee, I don't know.
That's a pretty good Ben Shapiro.
I'm practicing a little bit.
All right, keep going. So
I'll get better.
Do you think any Democrat wants to jump in there? Kamala Harris may be the only one dumb enough to think that she can win this thing. Honestly, let's not forget who Kamala Harris is. Okay?
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit. Obviously. And
that's Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris thinks it's an outdated idea that cops make cities safer.
Let's talk about America's failure when it comes to understanding how you create safe communities. And by that I mean this. It is outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street. What we have to do, and what we will do, is reimagine public safety.
Yeah, let's reimagine it. You know, they've been telling us that crime rates are down under Biden-Harris, but this morning on MSDNC, Joe Scarborough actually finally admitted that crime rates have skyrocketed over the past 4 years under Kamala and Joe.
4 years later, it is that very thing with crime rates have skyrocketed over the past 4 years. Even though they've gone down over the last year and a half, 2 years, there's still that perception out there.
Oh, they've skyrocketed and then gone down a little bit. Yep. Skyrocketed is what you were looking for. They've skyrocketed. Kamala Harris wants felons to be able to vote, including at this time during 2020, she was talking about the Boston Marathon bomber being able to vote.
Take it seriously.
But people who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
Okay.
You know it's bad when even Don Lemon goes, okay. Kamala Harris has been part of the inflation crisis that we've been dealing with in this country since Joe Biden took office.
Now, inflation is really high. Are you concerned about a recession? The administration said that they weren't that worried about inflation, and then that changed.
I think that there can be no higher priority than what we have been clear is our highest priority, which is bringing down the costs and the prices as much as we possibly can, and we will stay focused on that.
Yeah, they've been focused on that. Does anybody think Kamala Harris is a threat if she gets the nod? Anyone? This is Kamala Harris on the Ukraine invasion. Do you remember this?
If you're watching any level of news, even social media, you're seeing everything that's going on right now in the Ukraine. Break it down in layman's terms for people who don't understand what's going on and how can this directly affect the people of the United States.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
I mean, basically, do you trust Kamala Harris on foreign policy? I don't. I don't trust Kamala Harris on anything. In fact, when it comes to illegal border crossings and the wide open southern border, she's been our border czar, and she's failed every step of the way. And she doesn't even think crossing the border illegally should be a crime.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct.
Yeah, it's not a crime. It's not a crime. You know, we want to get back to energy independence in this country. We want to get back to energy dominance. Kamala Harris is going to lead us there.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you really see America being returned to greatness with Kamala Harris as the president? The Democrats really look at what she's got on her file that the Republicans can go after and think that she's the best choice to run? Donald Trump and his team have already gone after her in a brand new ad, and they're blaming Kamala Harris for covering up the mental decline of Joe Biden.
Kamala was in on it. She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion, runaway inflation, the American dream dead. They created this mess. Kamala owns this failed record. Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I mean, they're already going after her, and for good reason. Vivek Ramaswamy said yesterday, though, we're not just up against a candidate, and this couldn't be more true. We're up against the entire Democratic machine.
I think the reality is we got to avoid making the mistake of thinking that we're up against a candidate here. We're not. We're up against a machine. And the more we see it that way, the more we understand what's actually going on. I actually just had a good conversation with President Trump. I think his head's in the right place. I think the right answer is it doesn't matter who they put up, right? We stand for our own vision of who we are and what we stand for, irrespective of the machine we're up against. Maybe it's Kamala, maybe it's not. I personally, you're not going to hear me come out instantly just attacking Kamala. I've been plenty critical of her. I just don't think that's the right strategy for us. I think it looks unnecessarily insecure to say that, oh, now that it's not Biden, it's Kamala. It's a machine anyway. And regardless of the machine's activity, we have our own vision. And President Trump, and I think the convention overall, did an outstanding job of laying that out for the country. So we're coming off of, I think, a position where we're insulated from this a little bit. Complacency isn't an option. I did see a lot of people last week celebrating like this thing is over. In some ways, this thing hasn't even begun.
No, it hasn't begun. In fact, it's just getting started. Mike and Morrison, your comments on Vivek Ramaswamy. What's up, Mike? Oh, Mike. All right, I'm going to put Mike back on hold. We'll get to Mike in a second. There's so much to go through. Trump also had his first rally over the weekend. Trump had an interview with Jesse Waters with J.D. Vance that we're going to get to as well. But there's so much going on. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. What does J.D. Vance think about Kamala Harris? We'll get to that next. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. All month long for the month of July, when you buy one Beehive Club membership, you get a second Beehive Club membership for free for someone in your neighborhood. Do the neighborly thing. Get your neighbors a Beehive Club membership. Now, a Beehive Club membership is only $99, and you get so much value. 3 annual tune-ups, one for your heating, one for your cooling, one for your plumbing. 10% discount on all repairs. Priority front-of-the-line service if something goes wrong. A $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000. No overtime or holiday fees, plus exclusive Beehive member promotions. That's worth it on its own. But all month long in July, it's buy one, get one for someone in your neighborhood. You can even find a neighbor and go in half. You can get all that value for just $50. Busy Bee is your Rude Pro partner, And if you need help with your HVAC system, don't wait. Call Busy Bee today, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. For satisfaction guaranteed, just call Busy Bee. They're online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
We have the very latest from the House Oversight hearing with Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheadle coming up at 10. You're going to hear what she has to say. And other top stories. I'm Ken Weaver, and we'll have that for you at 10.
Thank you, Ken.
Still shaking off the Oklahoma cobwebs.
I thought you nailed it.
Goodness.
It's 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTM. My name is Chris Hand. Ken Weaver's back, ladies and gentlemen. We missed him. J.D. Vance is on the campaign trail with Donald Trump. They were in Grand Rapids, Michigan over the weekend, and Kamala Harris came up. And J.D. Vance had this to say about Kamala.
There's some bad news, actually. The vice president, Kamala Harris, she doesn't like me. Kamala Harris said something to the effect that I have no loyalty to this country. Well, I don't know, Kamala. I did serve in the United States Marine Corps and build a business. What the hell have you done other than collect a check?
What have you done other than collect a check? Well, I think we'd have to check in with Willie Brown and his team. I think we'd have to. That was J.D. Vance over the weekend. There's one Democrat who actually isn't too confident in Kamala's chances of becoming the nominee. A lot of Democrats are lining up to endorse her. We'll cover the endorsements, but real quick, Jasmine Crockett, who has rose to fame in the Democrat Party recently after her tiff, if you will, with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Jasmine Crockett says she's not confident at all in Kamala's chances for becoming the nominee. Oh, hang on one second. This is Jasmine Crockett on Kamala Harris.
I am not confident at all because, as it was laid out earlier, I do know that, behind closed doors, while I won't name names, that there were people that were absolutely like, it can't be the vice president. So in one breath, they were saying, the president needs to be out. In the next breath, they were also saying it can't be her.
It can't be her, says Jasmine Crockett. That's what Democrats are saying behind closed doors. It can't be her. Can it? 615-737-9986. Do you think Kamala is the shoo-in? Do you think it's going to be someone else? I want to hear from you. Call me. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
O'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got details on the potential for showers and thunderstorms this week. We need that rain. That's coming up in the full forecast in 2 minutes. But right now in our nation's capital, Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheadle testifying on her agency's failure in the attempt on the life of former President Trump.
The Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders. On July 13th, we failed. As a director of the United States Secret Service, I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency.
Yeah, Democrats using the hearing to blame guns and calling for an assault rifle ban. Election 2024, Sherry Preston.
The presidential campaign upended by President Biden's weekend decision to end his re-election campaign. ABC's Rachel Scott with reaction from Donald Trump.
This is now a major campaign reset, to say the least, with just over 100 days to go until the November election. It's a curveball the Trump campaign was preparing for, but this is not one that they wanted. And Trump's playbook so far has been to attack, attack, attack. The former president, who just days ago said he wanted to focus on this message of unity, now calling President Biden the worst president in American history, insisting whoever the left puts up will be more of the same.
As for Harris's running mate, here's former New Jersey governor and ABC News consultant Chris Christie.
Josh Shapiro would be the first person on my list if he has approval ratings in the high 60s in Pennsylvania. If he could deliver Pennsylvania, that allows them to play in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, in places that they need to try to keep from Biden's coalition 4 years ago.
Meanwhile, Tennessee's delegates to the Democratic convention voted unanimously yesterday to back Vice President Harris. Here in Tennessee, a Greenbrier couple is in custody for stealing almost $500,000 worth of property from a storage facility. Channel 4 says police looked at security footage they say showed two people, Desiree Jernigan and Joshua Brewington, stealing property from units as far back as March 15th. Police say the couple consented to a search of their property, which turned up $475,000 worth of furniture, clothing, glassware, and books, taken from units at Storage Rentals of America in Goodlettsville in May. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
From the moment we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden and Kamala, I call her Laughing Kamala. You ever watch her laugh? She's crazy. You know, you can tell a lot by her laugh. No, she's crazy. She's nuts. She's not as crazy as Nancy Pelosi. Crazy Nancy. Did you see Nancy Pelosi is selling out Biden now? Did you see? She turned on him like a dog. Well, I don't know if he should continue. All of a sudden, where did that come from? She was 100%. All of a sudden, she's not sure. Not sure means he's gone. But no, she's crazy as a bedbug. She's a crazy person.
That's Donald Trump over the weekend in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Crazy as a bedbug is such a wild.
She's crazy as a bedbug. She is.
Oh. But no, she's crazy as a bedbug. She's a crazy person.
It's good to see that, you know, the shot to the ear hasn't slowed him down. He's back. He's back. He's making fun of Kamala's laugh.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, is it that bad of a laugh?
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
Not. Yeah, it is.
We just lost half of our listeners.
I had about 55 seconds left of that. I decided to cut short.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we're starting a new movement. It's Conservatives for Kamala. I think we need Conservatives for Kamala. What do you think?
What a ridiculous clown show.
Yeah, it is. It has been. Crazy Nancy. Josh Hawley has some thoughts on Kamala Harris, and he weighed in on Fox yesterday.
If she gets the nomination, who is really going to be running the show in the White House? Is it the same cabal running the show now, or are they going to change up some of the players?
Oh, no, it'll be the same people, Laura, but it won't be anybody actually in the White House. It will be the people who chose Joe Biden and who will choose the next nominee. It will be Wall Street, it will be big business, and it will be Hollywood. They're the people who chose Biden. They're the people who made the money off of Biden. He can't make them any more money, so now they've ditched him, and they're holding an audition. I don't know if it will be Kamala. I think they haven't decided, but they're who matter. Those 15, 16 million Democrat primary voters, they don't matter. Who matters is Wall Street, private equity, and Hollywood. That's who controls this thing. And Laura, whoever gets the nod, they will be in charge 100%.
Yeah, and, they don't care about their voters. It was 14 million and some change primary voters. Who cares? The Democrats don't care about democracy. They just feign caring about democracy. It's a joke. Kim in Ashland City, though, you think we're overconfident or are the Democrats overconfident?
Hey, Chris, this is California refugee Kim, now living in the gloriously red state of Tennessee. I've been listening, the last few days, and I just kind of had a sense of wanting to caution people to not get into a feeling of overconfidence that Trump has got this in the bag, because we've got to vote even harder than we've ever done before, because we know they have their shenanigans, and they're going to have more shenanigans to pull out of the bag. And if we don't, I've heard people say we have to get 20 people registered, get 20 people to the polls. And even if you live in a red state, we've got to win the popular vote, not just the electoral vote. It's just so crucial to not get into overconfidence. And I think that clip you just played from Josh Hawley nailed it. Nails it.
Yeah, and and I hear where you're at, Kim, and I appreciate the call. I think that there's quite a few people who are saying, don't take your foot off the gas, take it easy. But at the same time, we can acknowledge how terrible Kamala Harris is. Vivek Ramaswamy said it doesn't matter who the candidate is. We're up against the Democrat machine, and I agree with that. We are dealing with the Democrat establishment media who are overjoyed today. We're dealing with all of the bureaucracy. We're dealing with everything. It's all stacked against us. But if they choose Kamala Harris to be the nominee, that's got to be the best case scenario, right? Megyn Kelly puts it this way, plain and simple, America doesn't like Kamala Harris.
Look, I am a woman. I have a daughter. I hate the fact that there's been no female presidents. I really do. I hate the fact that when you take out your little placemat, when your kids are learning the presidents, there's no female face on there, and then you have to explain why. It's effed up. I would love to see a female president, like a Margaret Thatcher type, somebody who's strong and serious and sober and respected. This ain't it. I am telling you, America is not going to elect this Nimrod as its first female president. I trust in them too much for that. They're not that dumb, and they're not that open to a female president to where they'd be like, anybody will do. Anyone will do. Anyone will do. Yeah, I don't think America's going to elect her just because she's a female. I don't think that at all. Josh Hawley had the point, what do our enemies think of us today? You look at America the past 9 days now, it's been chaotic. And if Kamala is going to be the nominee, well, what does Putin and Xi think of the Democrats today?
But what is Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un? They're watching democracy, Democrat Party style. How's it looking to them? They got to have a big chuckle out of all this.
They got to be laughing their heads off. Now the Democrats are rigging their own elections, Laura. This is hysterical. It looks like, dare we say it, an insurrection. I mean, it is hysterically funny, or would be, if not for the fact that Democrats have persecuted good Americans, half of the country and more, for the last 3 years, doing exactly what they're doing now. No, this is a joke. And again, it is a desperate, desperate attempt for the most powerful people in this country to cling to their power. Joe Biden's no longer useful to them. They're trying to find their next puppet, and we're going to have several weeks of auditioning for who that puppet's going to be. But at the end of the day, Republicans know who our candidate is, Donald Trump, who's not a puppet, and that's why he's going to win in November.
Yeah, Republicans are unified and the left is in disarray. Brian in Nashville, you're up next on Super Talk. What's your thoughts, Brian?
What's up, brother?
How we doing?
Well, my thoughts are that we get so caught up in this same old election, and it's not about an election. It's like I told somebody, you're a fool to think that it's going to be like it was before they cheat. It's not how many votes do we have, it's how many do we need. That's the game they play. And we have to learn how to play that, even though that's not right. We didn't make this game, we didn't make the rules to this new game that the Democrats play. We have to get in the dirt, just like a police officer has to when he meets up with a bad actor. He doesn't get a choice if he took the pledge like he's supposed to, like a military guy. He's pledging to the American people. He's not pledging to a president like that Secret Service director. She's a fool. She's an idiot. She's a DEI puppet.
I hear where you're coming from, and I appreciate the call, Brian. I think that we do have to make it too big to rig. But I think when you put up an unlikable candidate like Kamala Harris, that helps us out. Dave in Brentwood, you're next on Super Talk. What are your thoughts on Kamala?
Oh, this is all just such a beautiful self-inflicted wound, isn't it? I love it. I had to look up the definition of cabal when you play that clip. That's the perfect description of the Democrat machine that's coming, that's trying to put somebody up. So why doesn't someone like a big name like a Schumer run? Because I think that's a person who could win. And I thought about that, and they need their pieces in place, the Democrat machine, and he needs to be in his strong role there. But I think he would win the presidency. And another thing I thought of is Kamala's. I've heard about this. Biden's campaign money has to stay with the Biden campaign, so it'd have to stay with Harris.
Yep.
So what if they switch? What happens to that money? Like, do they return it? Do they send you a check? I have no idea. I think that's one more piece of the puzzle that they're going to use to their advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how they go about returning it. I do know that they wouldn't be able to use it. And to your point on Chuck Schumer, unfortunately, the Democrat Party is so fractured right now, and there's so many competing groups under that umbrella. I don't think that Chuck could win the presidency for the left because he's Jewish. And I think that that's another self-inflicted wound by the Democrat Party. And I think that's another reason why a lot of people float Josh Shapiro out as the VP choice for Kamala. And I don't think that would be the move at all, because you need to win Michigan and you need to win Minnesota. And unfortunately, in this political climate, the left is not going to vote for somebody that's Jewish. As crazy as it sounds.
Interesting point. All right, thanks, Chris.
Hey, appreciate the call, Dave. Yeah, RFK Jr. was talking about if Kamala Harris gets the nomination. And obviously, RFK Jr.'s pissed because RFK Jr. thinks, rightfully so maybe, that he could have been the Democrat nominee if there was a legitimate primary process. But he says, they have to choose Kamala because that's the only way they get to keep their money.
If the Democrats do what I suspect they're going to do, which is to anoint Kamala Harris, a vice president who is monumentally unpopular within her own party, but they're doing it because it's the easiest way to hold on to the money, and she's the and I think if they don't open up the process, that it really is going to discredit this political party.
Yeah, it's really going to discredit this political party, he says. Is the political party, does it need more discrediting currently as it stands? The political party who did everything they could to make sure Bernie Sanders wouldn't get the nomination in 2016. The political party who told Joe, there's no way you can win in 2016. The political party who blamed Hillary's loss on Russia in 2016. Do they have any credit left? Is there any more discrediting we can do? And to Dave's point, he was talking about a clip I played where Josh Hawley was talking about the cabal. RFK Jr. says this is a cabal as well.
And in fact, it's a cabal that is choosing the same way the Soviet Union did. Russia has elections. Vladimir Putin wins with 88% of the vote because he controls who can be his opponents. And he controls the media. And the same is true now of our political parties in this country.
Yeah, and maybe Kamala isn't the nominee. All signs look like she's going to be. In fact, if you look at the betting markets, Poly Market is one of them. Kamala Harris is at 83% chance of becoming the nominee. Others at 9%, which includes Gretchen Whitmer, Michelle Obama at 4%, Hillary Clinton at 3%, Gavin Newsom, 3%. I don't think any smart Democrat is going to go near this, especially an up-and-comer. Could I see a Hillary or a Michelle coming in? Yeah, that would make more sense to me, but Gavin Newsom, Josh Shapiro, Wes Moore, doubtful. You want a campaign with 4 months? It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. Let's go to Rick in the car. Wants to talk about the Biden delusions. Rick, you're next on Super Talk.
Chris, maybe we should cancel our Mount Toughmore campaign and instead align with Democrats and push to have massive portraits of Joe Biden erected atop every Capitol building throughout America.
He's a hero. He's a hero.
I will tell you what, my friend, in my 74 years, especially my long career in law enforcement, I encountered a lot of delusional people. But today's Democratic leaders, brother, they are the champions of it.
Yep, you're right, Rick. I appreciate the call. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And this isn't like news to Kamala. NBC's reporting that she's been preparing for this behind the scenes for weeks.
This is news that the vice president was preparing for. Now, of course, as your vice president, she is someone who had always been ready to take the job as president. But in the last few weeks, sources had told me that she was doing a really sort of distinct balancing act. She was both publicly and privately supporting President Biden while also quietly getting ready herself if she had to be the top of the ticket, which, of course, now with the president endorsing her, of course, her team is going to be hoping that she becomes the top of the ticket.
Yeah, they're hoping so, and they're racking up endorsements. They're racking them up for Kamala Harris. She's got an endorsement from Alex Soros, right? That's pretty good. She got Gavin Newsom's endorsement, so that means he's probably out as a potential nominee. The Clintons have endorsed Kamala Harris. Why would you want the Clintons' endorsement right now? Does that make sense to anyone? Bill, what was it, 6 months ago? We had all the new Epstein documents. Bill was on the plane. Bill's all tied in with all the victims. You want Bill's endorsement? I wouldn't want that stink anywhere near me. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro endorsed Kamala Harris. Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren endorsed Kamala Harris. The Squad, AOC, Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, those losers, they're backing Kamala Harris. Jasmine Crockett says, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Andy Bashir, he's backing Kamala Harris. She's racking up endorsements. However, the New York Times doesn't want Kamala Harris as the nominee. I'll tell you why after the break. It's 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock store. If you need a gun store and a place to train, you got to go see the Glock store. This is where I go, and it's because it's fantastic. When you go to a gun store, you want the people helping you to evaluate your personal firearm choices, to be friendly, professional, and most of all, knowledgeable, right? Well, that's exactly what you're going to get at the Glock store. I mean, in the back of the store, they have an entire counter dedicated to just answering your questions on firearms. It's sort of a Genius bar for guns. You've ever seen the Genius bar in the back of the Mac store? That's essentially what they have at the Glock store, except it's for Glocks. I like that, and I think you're going to like it as well. And when it comes to practicing shooting, where I do it to train, to be able to protect myself, my family, my home, I do it in the Shoot 270 private shooting room with a trained professional instructor. I'll never go back to a lane range. I mean, in a lane range, you're by yourself standing next to who knows who. But at the Glock store, it's completely different. Really, why would Why would I go anywhere else? Why would you go anywhere else? Stop by the Glock store, talk to the people, check out the shooting rooms. It's going to be your new favorite gun store as well. It's going to be your new favorite place to train as well. It's the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Here's Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheadle taking questions on her agency's failure during the attempt on former President Trump's life, coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You guys remember this?
She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
she seems pretty senile, too.
She speaks in rhyme. It's weird. It's weird. But she has bad moments. And
in rhyme? What do you...
Well, the way she talks, the bus will go here and then the bus will go there because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States future.
No, it's not. That was Donald Trump back when he did the interview with Tucker Carlson, talking about how Kamala talks.
It's weird. It's weird.
It's weird. It's awesome. It's so good. Do you know how much time the Biden staff had for a heads up when it came to the announcement that Joe wasn't going to run for re-election? Ducey had this on Fox. Peter Ducey. They got 1 minute.
Well, the staff wasn't totally blindsided, Jesse. They had a 1 minute heads up. We are told that President Biden convened a group of senior staff from the White House and the campaign, and they were told at 1:45 that he was changing his mind, going to drop out. The public announcement, when we all found out, was 1:46 p.m. And just in the last few minutes, we were told that President Biden has no public events on his schedule for tomorrow, and then the rest of the week is just blank. They are trying to figure out what exactly to do with him, but it seems like the plan with announcing this is put it out, the way that they did, paper statement, don't actually see or hear from the president, and then figure out a time midweek to have him come back here, or maybe they're going to do something in Wilmington, Delaware.
Yeah, it's weekend at Bernie's at the White House currently. And it looks like Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee. Everything's pointing in that direction. And one of the biggest tells is how much money they're raising, and they are raising a lot of money. Democrats raised nearly $50 million following Biden's exit and endorsement of Kamala Harris. $50 million. On Sunday, Democrats hauled in close to $50 million in online donations. It's the single biggest day for contributions to the party since the 2020 election, according to NBC News. And then an analysis of Act Blue, which is like their big fundraising site for Democratic donations, they showed that after Joe Biden dropped out of the race, Kamala Harris was having donation spikes averaging around $200,000 per hour before the letter revealing that Biden was stepping out. And after that, it was about $7.5 million an hour. Insanity. The Democrat strategist Kenneth Pennington posted on Twitter, "This might be the greatest fundraising moment in the history of the Democrat Party." Previously, the biggest day for fundraising was after Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died in 2020, and they raised approximately $73.5 million in one day, according to the New York Times. So a lot of money's rolling in. A lot of money's rolling in. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. It means they're probably going to be inclined to stay with Kamala. If the money's flowing in, that's great. But I also want to point out, Trump is fundraising very well, is fundraising very well also. And he doesn't always need it. He doesn't always need to spend the money. In fact, he spent less money than Jeb Bush in the primaries in 2016. And we know what happened. He spent less money than Hillary Clinton in 2016, and we know what happened. He spent less money than Nikki Haley, and while we're still waiting for the surge, I think we can safely say we know what happened there as well. So I'm not worried that they're raising a bunch of money, but I do think that it's kind of a sign that maybe the Democrats are really going to roll with Harris, which is good news for us. It's good news for us. It's been a wild time. Rachel Maddow was talking about Kamala choosing a VP from a place of strength, which is the oddest comment. And we'll play it for you after Ken Weaver's newscast, which happens right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We have details on what could be an off and on showery, stormy week here in Middle Tennessee. We do need the rain. Tell you about it during the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheadle says she takes full responsibility for failures to protect former President Trump from that assassination attempt, but she refuses to resign.
The building was outside of the perimeter on the day of the visit. But again, that is one of the things that during the investigation we want to take a look at and determine whether or not other decisions should have been made.
Democrats on the committee using the hearing to call for more gun control. Election 2024 in her first public event since announcing she's seeking the Democratic nomination for president. Vice President Harris today delivers remarks at an event celebrating the NCAA championship teams from this past season. Harris hits the campaign trail tomorrow, traveling to the battleground state of Wisconsin for an event in Milwaukee. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 10:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. Take a walk around your property today and look for these red flags. Settling sidewalks or driveways. Maybe sinking slabs or patio steps. Are your porch steps tilted? Has your sidewalk or patio shifted? Maybe it's created this tripping hazard or even potentially a dangerous situation. Maybe you have an uneven concrete pool deck that's also creating a trip hazard. Well, the guys at USS can fix that for you. They have their patented USS Polylift system. It's less expensive than concrete replacement. That has higher load capacities than traditional approaches such as mud jacking, and there'll be no color change in your concrete. There's going to be no damage to your grass or landscaping, and the work can be completed in a couple of hours. and then you can walk on it immediately. You can drive on it in 30 minutes. This is the way to fix what's going on your property. If you're having concrete issues, don't feel bad. Call USS. They guarantee their best. They're going to take the stress out of your home repair, and they won't leave until the job is done and you are satisfied. They've been doing it in Middle Tennessee since 1994. They're not going anywhere, and they have 25,000 satisfied customers to back them up. If you've noticed any of those red flags on your property, call USS today. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. Online at USSTN.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
They keep saying, he's a threat to democracy. I'm saying, what the hell did I do for democracy? Last week I took a bullet for democracy. What did I do against democracy? Crazy.
That's Donald Trump in Grand Rapids, Michigan over the weekend. He's back on the campaign trail already. They keep saying I'm a threat to democracy. I took a bullet for democracy. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. This is the rally over the weekend was cool when we were at Brian Wilson's house, and I kept walking by the TV and kept having this surreal moment. It's like, oh my gosh, it's only been a little over a week since this man had an assassination attempt against his life, and here he is. He's already out there doing things again. So now with the assassination attempt, well, now we got all these investigations, right? We're gonna have We're going to have tons of investigations. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle is now being called on to resign by even Democrats. Rep. Ro Khanna out of California wants Kimberly Cheadle to resign. She's being questioned currently, or she was questioned this morning. She says she doesn't know how many times the agency turned down Trump's campaign's request for more security. She doesn't know how many times. It's been reported now that they've been asking for more security for 2 years. 2 years. It's also being reported that he had the backups in. They wasn't all regular Secret Service guys. And this is all while they knew there was a credible threat from Iran on Donald Trump's life. Make it make sense. Cheadle would not directly answer how many U.S. Secret Service agents were there that day. She wouldn't directly answer a myriad of other questions. And when asked by Jim Jordan repeatedly about how many times the United States Secret Service denied requests from the Trump campaign, she wouldn't give a straight answer. Many times. This is Jim Jordan and Kimberly Cheadle this morning.
You know what it looks like, Director? It looks like you won't answer some pretty basic questions. It looks like you got a 9% raise and you cut corners when it came to protecting one of the most important individuals, most well-known individuals on the planet. A former president, likely the guy who's going to be the next president. It looks like you guys were cutting corners. That's what it looks like to me. Is that true?
I am here today because I want to answer questions, but I also want to be cautious.
You might want to, but you haven't answered. I don't think you've answered one question from the chairman, the ranking member, or me. Well, we got a lot of other people asking. We'll see if your record improves. But right now, you haven't answered, I don't think, any questions.
I don't think you've answered any questions. It's being reported that Cheadle repeatedly dodged questions and said that she did not know specifics on the different instances of the U.S. Secret Service denying requests for additional security for the Trump campaign. There were a number of failures leading up to the Trump rally on July 13th. I think that we can all agree on that. And Jim Jordan said, were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
The day after President Trump is shot, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said, quote, the assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources that the U.S. Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false. The next day, Secretary Mayorkas said that is an unequivocally false assertion. We had not received any request for additional security measures that were rebuffed. But 5 days later, the Washington Post said this. Top officials repeatedly rejected requests from Donald Trump's security detail for more personnel. The next day, the New York Times said this. Mr. Guglielmi acknowledged that the Secret Service had turned down some requests for additional federal security assets for Mr. Trump's detail. So which is it? Because both statements can't be true. Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir.
Neither. I wasn't guessing and I wasn't lying. What a joke. This woman should be fired or resign immediately. And she does acknowledge, though, that the Secret Service failed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Comer, Ranking Member Raskin, and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Kimberly Cheadle, and I am the Director of the United States Secret Service. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today. The assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July 13th is the most significant operational failure of the Secret Service in decades.
Yep, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. So Cheadle's testifying before the House Oversight Committee. James Comer opened the hearing by honoring Corey Comparator, the 50-year-old father and husband who was fatally shot during the assassination attempt. You know about Corey. We all know about Corey. Rest in peace. Corey was shielding his wife and daughters when he was shot at the rally. And Kimberly Cheadle is in there deflecting. There's going to be a great interview tonight with Jesse Waters. Trump and Vance are being interviewed by Jesse Waters, and clips have been leaking out. And one of the questions that a lot of us have as Americans is, how should we be trusting the FBI in this instance to investigate the assassination attempt when the FBI has eroded all trust that we used to have in them over these past few years? And Jesse Waters asked Trump and Vance, do you trust the FBI?
The FBI is doing an investigation on the assassination attempt. Do you trust the Bureau? I don't trust the Bureau leadership, but I certainly think there are a lot of good field agents, guys on the ground. But what the hell was going on? How was that guy ever allowed to be there in the first place? Which I think somebody, whether it's higher up or somebody else involved, really did screw up.
There's some things going on with our government that we have to really worry about. Did we have enough people? Why didn't we have enough people? Somebody said that a lot of people were put on Biden's detail. The problem is Biden doesn't draw anybody. He draws flies.
Biden doesn't draw anybody. He draws flies. I think that one of the most sobering statements from that was from Trump, we have a lot of things going on in our government we have to figure out.
There's some things going on with our government that we have to really worry about.
We have to really worry about. And then Jesse Waters said to Trump, no one warned you when you were about to take the stage? Nobody told you that the shooter was on the roof?
We were monitoring this guy for an hour beforehand. Yeah. No one told you not to take the stage?
No, nobody mentioned it. Nobody said there was a problem. And I would have waited for 15. They could have said, let's wait for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, something. Nobody said, I think that was a mistake. How did somebody get on that roof? And why wasn't he reported? Because people saw that he was on the roof. I mean, you had Trumpers screaming. The woman in the red shirt, she was screaming, there's a man on the roof. And then other people said, there's a man on the roof who's got a gun. And that was quite a bit before I walked onto the stage. So you would have thought somebody would have done something about it.
Yeah, you would have thought. You would have thought that somebody would do something about it. Yeah, I find it interesting there. Trump is talking about the videos. You know, Trump has watched the videos on the ground from the spectators at the rally. He mentions the woman in the red hat yelling, somebody's on the roof, somebody's on the roof. We've all seen that video. Well, Josh Hawley actually said the police on the ground there, they weren't on these same radio channels for information. Josh Hawley says that law enforcement on the ground was not coordinated with Secret Service and that the radios that they were on were completely different channels. So they were doing a lot of relaying of messages on the ground.
The idea that you could have all of this time elapse and nobody notices, no law enforcement notices he's on the roof. Whistleblowers tell me that law enforcement were actually on different channels, different radio communication channels. There were multiple different channels and they weren't coordinated.
Very convenient, right? What a coincidence. Seems like it was just anything that could go wrong that day just happened to go wrong. And the people that are doing the investigations, we don't really trust. Wild. So we'll see what happens. Ron Johnson was on with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend, and they're discussing some of these new bits of information that keep leaking out, which is it's slowly coming out. Like, did you know that the individual that shot President Trump, the would-be assassin, did drone surveillance over the site before the rally? Drone surveillance. Yep. Drone surveillance. Which is interesting. You have an individual that's very suspicious, flying a drone over the area. You knew that he was flying a drone over the area. Then you mark him as suspicious. Then you mark him as a threat. You still let the president go on the stage. Donald Trump Jr. said it's wild because Secret Service stopped him from flying his own drone over Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. So a would-be assassin can fly a drone over a rally site, but Donald Trump Jr. isn't allowed to fly his own drone off of the beach at Mar-a-Lago. Breitbart has this story. Donald Trump Jr. reacting to that news that Thomas Matthew Crooks was able to fly a drone and get aerial footage over the fairgrounds ahead of Donald Trump's rally. And he said, just to underscore how crazy this all is, I was once prevented flying my own drone off of the beach at Mar-a-Lago by U.S. Secret Service because my father was inside the house. Now we have one literally scouting his speech. And Trump was reacting to that Wall Street Journal article that was posted on Friday, which did reveal The gunman who tried to kill Donald Trump was able to fly a drone and get aerial footage of the Western Pennsylvania fairgrounds shortly before President Trump was set to speak there. Law enforcement officials briefed on the matter said, further underscoring the stunning security lapses ahead of Trump's near assassination. Officials said crooks flew the drone on a programmed flight path earlier in the day on July 13th to scour the Butler Farm showgrounds ahead of Trump's rally. That's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. Breitbart News reported that Crooks is flying this drone over there. And how? So the Secret Service is now under fire for failing to stop the shooter from positioning himself on a rooftop. They're under fire for letting Trump go on the stage. And Kimberly Cheadle still has her job. She still has her job. Democrats are even coming out to tell her to resign at this point. Democrats. As they should. As they should. If this could happen to Donald Trump, this could happen to Joe Biden, this could happen to Kamala Harris. Ron Johnson was on with Maria Bartiromo, and this was a very interesting interview that there's a lot to take away from, but he said that he's found out a few interesting things.
But a couple of things that we found out. For example, the Secret Service did not even attend the 9 o'clock security meeting with local law enforcement. Pretty well put in charge the Butler County law enforcement to coordinate things. Law enforcement wasn't even on the same channel.
So that was just to be clear, Senator, that was a 9 a.m. meeting on July 13th, the day of the shooting.
Correct.
Secret
Yeah, Secret Service has been there for site visits, weren't even there. Kind of turned over some of the outer perimeter stuff to local law enforcement. They weren't even on the same security channel. So the sniper and SWAT teams weren't on the same channel as the patrol officers, and they weren't on the same channel as Secret Service. So they had to relay things.
Yeah, so we talked about they weren't on the same channels on their walkie-talkies, but the Secret Service not showing up to the 9 a.m. meeting? What? How? Ron Johnson also confirms reports that it was the picture was taken by the sniper team of the shooter at 5:14, over an hour, almost an hour before shots rang out.
We've got a more detailed timeline. This picture is now on the internet, but a photo was taken by the local sniper team in the AGR building at 5:14 of Crooks. So again, we had pictures of this guy. Why wasn't he intercepted? There's so many unanswered questions here.
The pictures were taken at 5:14, and he was shot at 6:11.
Correct.
So they had the guy in the sights. They took pictures of him. They knew he was there. They knew he was a threat. Somehow they let him get on the roof anyway. Somehow they let President Trump on the stage anyway. Okay. Do you have more questions than you had before? Because I sure do. Ron Johnson also says preliminary reports are being released to solicit more testimony. But he drops an interesting tidbit in here that I think is going to make a lot of people's ears peak.
So I'm going to be issuing a preliminary report. It's preliminary. It's just scratching the surface. We're primarily going to release that report to solicit more eyewitness testimony. If you took video, save it. Make a backup copy. We can glean things in terms of audio and in terms of where the shots came from. Was it one rifle? Was it more than one? I've seen some pretty interesting video on the internet by experts that certainly calls into question what the FBI is telling us about a single shooter. Again, we're only just beginning this, but it is so important that people who saw things, that have information, they preserve it, they memorialize what they saw, because memories change over time. They can be influenced. So it's good news on a bipartisan basis. Chairman Blumenthal and I are dedicated to taking transcribed interviews with law enforcement and just members of the general public that were at that rally. No matter how insignificant your piece of information might be, it might lend to provide the full story of what happened, because the American public needs to understand what happened here.
Did you catch the part in the middle where he questions whether or not it was a single shooter? And he brings up those videos that have been circulating around on the internet that I know you've probably seen if you've been paying attention. I've seen them. I find it interesting that Senator Johnson is questioning this as well. Maria Bartiromo kind of missed that for a second, but then she must have had a producer in her ear screaming, he's questioning if it was a single shooter. ask him about that, and she did. I'll play that answer for you after the break. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hear the Secret Service chief getting grilled on security failures during the attempt on former President Trump's life. And Vice President Kamala Harris's first public comment since Biden dropped his re-election bid and endorsed her. Details at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Senator Ron Johnson was doing an interview with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend on Fox. And mid-sentence, he's talking to Maria, and he drops this.
Was it one rifle? Was it more than one? I've seen some pretty interesting video on the internet by experts that certainly calls into question what the FBI is telling us about a single shooter.
That made me go, huh. And then he continues on for about a minute. There's another question in between, and I swear somebody must have got in Maria Bartiromo's earpiece and been like, did you not listen to what he just said? Because she comes back, and after another question or two, she says, well, wait a second. Are you questioning the single shooter theory?
So are you questioning whether or not there was a second shooter? Is that what you're questioning? Or if the shooter had a different gun?
I saw an extremely convincing video online. I know it's all over the place. There were 3 distinct shots early on, followed by another 5 in more staccato, more rapidly fired, and then the final one, which we believe took the shooter out. How do you explain that? I don't know. I'm not an expert. But the individual putting that video out says it clearly shows that there were at least 3 different weapons fired that day. Again, I don't know, but we can't trust the FBI and the Secret Service to do an honest and open and transparent investigation. That's just a very sad fact.
No, it is a fact, and it is sad, but that's just the state of the country right now. Do you honestly trust the FBI to do a fair investigation? Kimberly Cheadle's being questioned now. We'll have relevant audio from that as it becomes available. Plus, I have more audio from the Trump-Vance Jesse Waters interview and the Trump-Vance rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan. A week after being almost assassinated, Donald Trump is already back out on the campaign trail, and he's got some really great audio that I want to play for you. Hang out with us. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the potential for showers and thunderstorms this week. We'll tell you about the much-needed rain during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, Stephen Portnoy covering the House Oversight Committee hearing on Secret Service failures during the attempt on former President Trump's life.
Director Kimberly Cheadle said the attempt on Donald Trump's life amounted to a failure on the part of an agency that has zero tolerance for failure.
I take full responsibility for any security lapse.
Cheadle told lawmakers she couldn't explain how a shooter was able to get onto a nearby roof, but she said the Secret Service did not deny any request for additional security.
The assets that were requested for that day were given.
House Intelligence Chair Republican Mike Turner told Cheadle this.
President Biden needs to fire you.
Democrats using the hearing to call for more gun control. And election 2024 in her first public event since announcing she's seeking the Democratic presidential nomination. Vice President Harris spoke briefly this morning at an event celebrating the NCAA championship teams from this past season.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office.
And that was it, without any evidence. No mention of her attempt to win the nomination. Biden reportedly testing positive for COVID and is taking Paxlovid for it. Harris hits the campaign trail tomorrow, traveling to the battleground state of Wisconsin for an event in Milwaukee. And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
11:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The radical left are insane. Do you know that one third of Democrats, according to a survey, wish Trump had been killed by the would-be assassin's bullet? Yep. Snap poll conducted on Thursday found that a third of Democrat voters wish that Trump's would-be assassin had killed him. It's nice, right? It's the tolerant left. It's the tolerant left. You know, whistleblowers are telling Josh Hawley that the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania was considered a loose security event and that most of the staff was not Secret Service. Oh. They've been denying to increase Trump's security for 2 years. Okay. Back and forth. Who was assigned the building where the shooter was? Local police say they weren't assigned that building where the shooter was located. Back and forth. The Department of Homeland Security, though, they're focused on getting to the bottom of everything, and their first order of business is feelings. Have you heard this? After the assassination attempt, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has pledged to recruit, retain, and elevate women in law enforcement. Okay. So, it's nice. They don't have any answers for anything. The investigation is going to take months, if not longer, and we don't have any more answers. But they're going to keep hiring women. That's what's important to them, not the answers, not how or why or who. We're gonna keep hiring women. With all that being said, it hasn't slowed Donald Trump down. Donald Trump is back out there over the weekend holding a rally in Michigan, Grand Rapids to be exact. It's the first rally that he's done with J.D. Vance, and they were out there doing the thing. It was the crowd was electric, and Trump mirrored essentially what he said at the RNC. He's only here by the grace of God.
I stand before you only by the grace of Almighty God. That's true. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. Maybe JD or somebody else would be here, but I shouldn't be here right now. But something very special happened. Let's face it, something happened. I want to thank Butler Memorial Hospital in Pennsylvania for the incredible job they did and service they gave.
Yeah, have you seen the video of Trump walking into that hospital? It's wild. There are people just waiting in the ER. Secret Service pulls up. Crazy. He also said this at the rally.
Fight, right? And we will win.
Yeah. Have you seen the baseball players that have been doing the fight celebration? So there's a guy on the Tampa Bay Rays that got on base and he did the fist and he did fight, which I thought was pretty cool until I saw the St. Louis Cardinals and their latest celebration. One of their players hit a home run and he ran by, he looked at the dugout, he did the fight with his fist, but he also covered one ear. And then all the players in the dugout did the exact same thing back to him. People aren't afraid to support Trump anymore. People aren't. Trump commented on the problems of the Democrat Party, and I'll say this, though. This is Saturday, pre-Biden announcement. Although everybody kind of knew this was coming, but Trump is talking about the problems of the Democrats.
They have a couple of problems. Number one, they have no idea who their candidate is, and neither do we. That's a problem. But we'll see. Hopefully they get it worked out. Sort of interesting. This guy goes and he gets the votes, and now they want to take it away. That's democracy. They talk about democracy. Let's take it away from them. But now we go forward as one movement, and really we have a very special group of people, like the people here. You people built this country. It's one movement, and we're more united, determined than ever before. We've never been so determined.
No, he's absolutely right. It's funny. He says, we don't know who the candidate's going to be. This is Saturday before the official announcement. He's also challenged whoever the new Democrat presidential candidate will be to a debate. Yep. Trump has opened the debate challenge. He says, my debate with crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, was slated to be broadcast on fake news ABC, the home of George Slopadopoulos, sometime in September. He said George Slopadopoulos. Sometime in December. Now that Joe has not surprisingly has quit the race, I think the debate with whomever the radical left Democrats choose should be held on Fox News rather than very biased ABC. Thank you. In posts on Truth Social, Trump has been slamming the outgoing president, questioning whether Biden really has COVID. He's also wondering if perhaps Biden just wanted to get out of facing Trump. He says, does anybody really believe that crooked Joe has COVID? No, he wanted to get out ever since June 27th, the night of the debate, where he was completely obliterated. That was the big moment in Joe Biden's demise. That was the point in time when Joe was revealed for what he is, an incompetent man who should never have been president. Joe Biden is not fit to serve. He is destroying our country. Yeah, that's why they held it so early. Everybody knew that was the audition, right? That was the audition. So, well, we'll see. We'll see if we get a debate on Fox News. I certainly hope so. The calls for Biden to resign have definitely gotten louder since yesterday. If you can't serve another 4 years, you can't run for re-election, how can we trust you in the last, 6 months of your presidency? So after he dropped out of the race, calls for him to resign have just, as Nikki Haley would put it, they've surged. They've surged. J.D. Vance has called on him to resign. Sarah Huckabee Sanders has called on him to resign. Josh Hawley has called on him to resign. Elise Stefanik, Nancy Mace, Glenn Jacobs, our own Glenn Jacobs from here in Tennessee, Stephen Miller. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Everybody's, if you can't do it, then resign. Then resign. Trump can keep doing all his stuff. He got shot in the head. He's still out there campaigning. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. One of the things that I thought was so smooth that he did during his rally in Michigan is he was talking about Elon Musk endorsing him. And he compliments Elon. And subtly in the background, he makes the case during this comment. He makes the case for private sector solutions over government involvement. He's making the case for smaller government. I'm a huge fan of that.
So Elon endorsed me recently, the other day, actually. He's great. Elon Musk. He's a brilliant guy. Every time I call him, he's talking about, I got a new idea for a rocket. You have to hear this. No, it's true. The first time I ever saw this, I'm watching television like 3 years ago, and I see a rocket motor engine, come down landing, straight up in, no wings, no nothing, and it's landing. And I thought I was seeing things. What is that? And it's landing on a barge in the middle of the ocean. And then another one comes down, and another one. I guess 4 of them came down, 3 or 4, and they land upright. I said, what the hell was that? I've never seen that before. Now, if that were government, you wouldn't see that for another 50 to 100 years.
Yeah.
But it was Elon.
Yep, he's absolutely right. If that was the government, we wouldn't be seeing that. If you want something done inefficiently and over budget, ask the government to do it. But the private sector can always do it far, far better. And Trump, while acknowledging Elon's support, the $45 million a month coming in from Elon Musk, the full endorsement from Elon Musk, he's also making the case for small government.
Now think of that. And I called him, and I've always had a good relationship with him, but I called him and I said, what was that? He said, well, we saved the engines. We saved the engines because it's very expensive to build. So, it didn't take me long to figure that if you save them, that's good. But who the hell thought you could do that? No wings, no nothing. Just like these big, long, massive tubes, and they're landing gently right on the dot. I said, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And you say, how long would it take government to come up with that one? I don't think they ever heard of it. Perhaps they still haven't heard of it. But, he's a very advanced person, and he's doing other things that are great, and so are others. We have to make life good for our smart people, We have some smart people. We have to make life good for our smart people.
So he makes the case for smaller government. He makes the case for private sector, and then he also makes the case really ever so subtly at the end for deregulation. We have to make life easy for our smarter people. And he's absolutely right. We do. We have to make it easier. So that's Trump over the weekend. Biden over the weekend, nowhere to be found. Everybody wondering, where is Joe Biden? Even when he released the statement, Fox News says, where is he? Can we see proof of life?
Not physically seeing him even address a camera in Delaware, let alone an Oval Office statement like LBJ did when he dropped out in March of 1968. It is disconcerting, isn't it?
Brett, they didn't even release a White House still photograph. Nothing. So are we, I mean, I hope he's fine. But you could forgive people for wondering if we are really living Weekend at Bernie's right now. Like, proof of life, please.
Proof of life, please. Proof of life. So there's a massive cover-up when it comes to Joe Biden's health. I think we can all agree on that. Jesse Waters is going to do an interview with Trump and Vance tonight. That's when it's going to air. I'm really looking forward to this interview, full disclosure. But clips have been leaking out, and Jesse Waters asked Trump, would you investigate people that hid info on Joe's health? Would you investigate?
You'd investigate the people that hid Joe Biden's condition?
Well, I think somebody has to look at it. Look, you had people that lied to the American public. And I tell you what, you ought to take a look at his doctors, because his doctors keep giving him this wonderful report. I'm not a doctor, but I saw him the other day, was unable to get up the children's stairs going into Air Force One.
It was unable to get up the children's stairs going into Air Force One. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said that the newly minted presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, is complicit in this massive cover-up to hide and deny the fact that Joe Biden is not capable of discharging the duties of office. DeSantis, he ran for president himself unsuccessfully, but he says Kamala Harris was complicit in this massive cover-up to hide and deny the fact that Joe Biden was not capable of discharging the duties of the office. We've heard these rumors for years. He said she was also the border czar during the worst border crisis in American history. Democrats are just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Democrats are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Well, Jesse Waters asked Trump and Vance, are we witnessing a coup to overthrow Joe Biden?
Is it a coup against Joe Biden?
Sort of, yeah.
I think it is. I mean, look, there's a constitutional process, the 25th Amendment. If Joe Biden can't run for president, he can't serve as president. And if they want to take him down because he's mentally incapable of serving, invoke the 25th Amendment. You don't get to sort of do this in the most politically beneficial way for Democrats. If it's an actual problem, they should take care of it in the appropriate way.
Yeah, no, they should, but they're the Democrats, so they won't. They won't. The 25th Amendment should have been invoked a long time ago, but since it's the Democrats, they won't. They won't. So I guess the question is, what happens at the convention?
So they're going to cook up something at the convention. They might throw Gretchen Whitmer at you. They might throw Gavin Newsom at you. They might throw Michelle Obama at you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about any of them. Look, they have bad policies. Forget about the people. They have an open border policy. They have a high tax policy. They have a bad military policy. The whole world is going woke. Their world is going woke. The Green New Scam, we're spending all our money on things that don't work. The whole thing is a mess. Our country, if we don't win this election, we may never have another election. I'm telling you, this may be our last election.
He says, who cares about the person? It's bad policy. The people don't matter because the policy won't change. And he's absolutely right there. No matter what radical leftist they put in the seat, the policy is going to remain the same. And do you like open borders? Do you? Do you like America Last? Do you like our homeless veterans? Do you like our veterans being homeless? Do you like them getting cut in line at the VA by illegal aliens for health care? I don't like any of that stuff, but all that stuff will continue if we have a Democrat leader. All of it. Every single one of those things will continue. It's insane. So we look at Kamala Harris. All signs point to her being the nominee. All signs point to her being the nominee. The DNC chair says there's going to be an orderly process to choose the new Democrat nominee. It's going to be orderly. In response to the apparent uncertainty that's going on right now in America, DNC chair Jamie Harrison released a statement explaining that the party has a firm commitment to nominating and electing a Democrat president. He said, our delegates are prepared to take seriously the responsibility and swiftly delivering a candidate to the American people. Democrats are prepared and united in our resolve to win in November. Due to being largely uncontested in the primaries, Biden secured a bunch of delegates, almost 4,000 pledged delegates. We've seen Tennessee pledge their delegates to Kamala Harris, and we've seen a couple other states do the exact same thing. But essentially now delegates are going to be participating in a scheduled virtual roll call prior to the convention where they will voice who they believe the nominee should be. Now, Biden endorsed Harris on the way out via tweet, not in the original statement. It suggests that his delegates will likely vote for her. However, they're not required to do so. They're not required to do so. The public endorsements are rolling in for Kamala Harris. She's got the Clintons. I don't know why you would want them, but she's got them. She's got the Squad and AOC. She's got Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. She's got Bashir out of Kentucky. The endorsements are rolling in. No endorsement from Obama yet. No endorsement from Obama yet. And they have an interesting reason as to why. I'll tell you that after the break. It's 11:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hear Vice President Kamala Harris's first public comment since her boss bowed out of the presidential race and endorsed her. And hear the Secret Service chief getting grilled on failures during the attempt on former President Trump's life at 11:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. It's 11:26 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Former President Barack Obama is withholding his endorsement of Kamala Harris. He says he's worried about being seen as a backroom party boss engineering a Harris coronation. Politico Playbook reported on Monday. He's worried about that now? Haven't people been thinking that he's been running the White House for the past 3 years? He's worried about it today? Okay. The report underscores concerns that Obama pushed Biden out and is trying to coronate Harris as the de facto nominee, which, of course, would essentially throw into the trash the 14 million votes Biden received in the Democrat primaries. A person familiar with Obama's thinking appeared to refute those concerns to Playbook, however, claiming that Obama wants Democrats to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. All right, look to your left, look to your right. Do you see any outstanding nominees for the Democrat Party? I don't. He said, just like he did in 2020, once Joe Biden earned the nomination, President Obama believes he'll be uniquely positioned to help unite the party once we have a nominee, lift up that candidate, and do everything he can to get that candidate elected in November. Okay. I'm getting more audio out of this Kimberly Cheadle questioning that's happening right now in D.C. This one is wild. Rep. O'Connor, he's a Democrat out of California, and he's now calling on Cheadle to resign. This is what he said to her.
Awful event. Now, Director Cheadle, would you agree that this is the most serious security lapse since President Reagan was shot in 1981 of the Secret Service?
Yes, sir, I would.
And, do you know what Stuart Knight did when he was in charge at the time of the Secret Service? Do you know what he did afterwards?
He remained on duty.
He resigned. He resigned. And Stuart Knight was not a Democratic appointee or a Republican appointee. Look, I'm not questioning your judgment.
Said, do you know what Stuart Knight did after Reagan was shot? Cheadle says he remained on duty. No. He resigned. He resigned. Yeah, and you should resign as well. Gary in Greenbrier, you're next. Thanks for holding, Gary. What do you got?
Well, for this week, what I see, and I can almost be prophetic anymore, things are so clear now, since the light of the sun is on everything, Biden just might go to bed and not wake up due to illness, age, whatever. And then that slides Kamala Harris automatically, and rightfully so, that's how it works, into the office of the presidency, at least temporarily. So you have your first black woman and woman in the White House. Then when it comes to what should be an open convention where people have a chance to vote for or delegate who they want as their nominee, just maybe it'll work out, but you watch if Michelle Obama is not on the scene, and maybe even Hillary Clinton, because this idea of having a strong person, that means something.
Yeah.
It means something.
I hear you.
Right?
And if you pay attention to the betting odds currently, Hillary Clinton has a better chance than Michelle Obama if you pay attention to the betting odds that many people do. It's 11:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Details on the potential for showers and thunderstorms and much-needed rain during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Election 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris praising President Biden in her first public comment since he bowed out of the race and endorsed her.
Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history.
No specifics given. Harris celebrating National Collegiate Athletic Association championship teams at the White House today. Elsewhere in our nation's capital, Stephen Portnoy covering the House oversight hearing on security failures during the attempt on former President Trump's life.
Under intense questioning from both parties, the Secret Service director was direct on this point.
This was clearly a failure.
But Kimberly Cheadle was unable to explain how a killer was able to get on a nearby roof with a clear shot.
I would like to know those answers as well.
Cheadle insisted no Trump campaign request for additional security in Butler, PA was denied. But that didn't satisfy House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan.
Looks like you guys were cutting corners. That's what it looks like to me.
And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
11:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. I'm digging into some of these lines of questioning to Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, and she's having a hard time coming up with answers. This is her going back and forth with Rep. James Comer.
Or other technology prefer to have sterile rooftops.
Did the Secret Service use any drones for surveillance that day?
So again, I'm not going to get into specifics of that day in itself, but there are times during a security plan that the Secret Service does deploy an asset like a drone.
There were reports that the shooter used a drone just a few hours before the rally start time. Is that accurate?
I have heard those or other technology.
So she's heard those reports. She's not going to get into any specifics of the day. That's Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle as she's being questioned by James Comer.
Day of the attempted assassination and leading up to that day. Let's start with the building that the shooter used to shoot President Trump from. At any point Saturday, did the Secret Service have an agent on top of that roof?
Sir, I'm sure as you can imagine that we are just 9 days out from this incident, and there's still an ongoing investigation. And so I want to make sure that any information that we are providing to you is factual.
You can't, okay. Why did the Secret Service not, can you answer why the Secret Service didn't place a single agent on the roof?
We are still looking into the advanced process and the...
We're still looking into it. We don't have any answers for you. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? 9 days later, we're still looking into it. Shouldn't that have been, I don't know, first couple of hours? Shouldn't you have those answers ready before you go in to answer questions?
Decisions that were made.
Okay. Wasn't that building within the perimeter that should be secured? Do we agree with that?
The building was outside of the perimeter on the day of the visit. But again, that is one of the things that during the investigation we want to take a look at and determine whether or not other decisions should have been made.
One of the things that you said, I believe in an interview, that there wasn't an agent on the roof because it was a sloped roof. Is that normal, and do you fear that immediately creates an opportunity for future would-be assassins to look for a slanted roof? I mean, this is a huge question that every American has. Why wasn't a Secret Service agent on the roof? And there have been reports that agents were supposed to be on the roof, but it was hot that day and they didn't want to be on the roof. Can you answer any of those questions, Director?
So I appreciate you asking me that question, Chairman. I should have been more clear in my answer when I spoke about where we placed personnel in that interview. What I can tell you is that there was a plan in place to provide overwatch, and we are still looking into responsibilities and who was going to provide overwatch. But the Secret Service in general, not speaking specifically to this incident, when we are providing overwatch, whether that be through counter snipers or other technology, prefer to have sterile rooftops.
Okay. So she's not going to speak to this incident directly. Then why is she there? We don't need questions answered about general Secret Service. But she testified that the building where the shooter shot President Trump was outside the perimeter for Secret Service. But I think it's important to note this was 150 yards away with a direct line of sight to President Trump. That's outside the perimeter.
Within the perimeter that should be secured. Do we agree with that?
The building was outside of the perimeter on the day of the visit. But again, that is one of the things that during the investigation we want to take a look at.
Yeah, we want to take a look at it. Unbelievable. And then you get Democrats up there asking questions. And there's a member of Congress, Eleanor Holmes Norton. She's asking questions to Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, and she doesn't even mention the Trump assassination. She actually decides to spend her time ranting about gun control laws.
His home, his name was Medgar Evers. I condemn the political violence. It is a threat to democracy. I want to discuss one of the roots of political violence, guns. For years, Republicans, including a member of this committee, have introduced legislation and amendments to repeal or block the District of Columbia gun violence protection laws, including its bans on assault weapons and large capacity magazines. The shooter at the Trump rally used the mass shooter's gun of choice, an assault weapon, specifically an AR-15 style rifle, and presumably a large capacity magazine, which is defined in D.C. as a magazine that can hold more than 10 bullets. Under current D.C. law, D.C. does not recognize concealed carry permits issued by other jurisdictions, but it does issue concealed carry permits to both residents and non-residents. However, D.C.
This is what she chooses to use her time for. That's a member of Congress, Eleanor Holmes Norton. Doesn't even mention the Trump assassination. Goes right into gun control. Right into gun control. There were serious members of Congress there. Rep. Lynch asked about the fact that the shooter had a rangefinder.
Okay, so did he have a rangefinder? There were some reports that the individual had a rangefinder. That would certainly raise my suspicion. Did he have a rangefinder?
Yes, he did, but may I explain that at a number of our sites, especially when you're at outdoor venues, a rangefinder is not a prohibited item. It is sometimes an item that is brought in by individuals who are going to be in the back.
Did anybody confront him on that? Anybody ask him questions? What are you doing with the rangefinder? Anybody confront him on his presence where he was in proximity to the president?
So again, to my knowledge, I believe that was the process that was taking place, was to locate the individual.
Did they confront him? Did they? Okay, so
did they confront him? That's what we need to know. What was the process that was taking place? Well, we knew that he was labeled suspicious, and then that was up to a threat. We know that they saw him with a rangefinder. They took a picture of him. She doesn't have any good answers, does she? And then this woman has the audacity to get up there in front of everyone and say, I think I'm the best person to lead the Secret Service.
But you think you are the best person in the country to head the Secret Service?
I think that I am the best person to lead the Secret Service at this time.
Absolute joke. I am the best person to lead the Secret Service at this time. Other Democrats got up there and flipped out about banning guns as well. Rep. Jerry Connolly, he's a Democrat out of Virginia. He had a complete meltdown because Cheadle didn't actually agree with his call to ban guns.
A simple answer. The ubiquity of guns, dangerous weapons in America like AR-15s, has that made your job, that is to say the mission of the Secret Service, easier or more difficult?
I think the threat environment for protecting our Secret Service protectees is always difficult, and that's dynamic, and it's always evolving.
We stipulate it's always difficult. Again, this is a simple one. Does the ubiquity of guns make your job easier or more difficult today?
I understand the Second Amendment rights of individuals.
I didn't ask that question. I'm not questioning the Second Amendment. I'm asking a simple analysis, Director Cheadle. And I can tell you, you're not making my job easier in terms of assessing your qualification for continuing on as director.
Oh, so the Democrats will only let her continue on if she wants to ban guns? Is that what he's saying?
Please answer the question. You're the head of the Secret Service. You're speaking on behalf of 8,000 members who put their lives on the line. We just had a failure by your own admission. Do guns make your job easier or harder?
I think the job of the Secret Service is difficult on every day, and we need to make sure that we are mitigating all threats, whether that be
That
weapons,
isn't my question.
personnel.
That is not my question. And now I think you're evading the answer, which is not a hard one.
I am sorry that you feel that way, sir.
I mean, do the Democrats even deserve any time if they're not going to ask about the actual intelligence failures on the ground? Do they deserve any time at all? Any time. At one point during this, she's shown footage of Trump rally goers pointing to the shooter on the roof, and she attempts to explain how the Secret Service weren't aware that there was a threat to President Trump.
Director Cheadle, as you know, the shooter began shooting at 6:11 p.m. Eastern on July 13th. NBC reported that at 5:51 p.m., 20 minutes before the shooting began, the state police informed the Secret Service of their concern. Now, the rally was not paused at that point, correct?
No.
And according to NBC, just 2 minutes later, at 5:53 p.m., the Secret Service notified its snipers about the gunman. The rally wasn't paused at that point either, correct?
No.
Let me show you some video footage by rally goers. If you could play the video on the screen up here. This was taken 2 minutes before the shooting started. If you could turn up the volume.
Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof with that.
Up here. Ma'am, that doesn't look like suspicious behavior. That looks like threatening behavior to me. And the rally wasn't paused at that point either, correct?
I can tell you, as I stated earlier, sir, that the moment that the shift surrounding the president were aware of an actual threat.
That's a threat right there. The guy's on the roof and everybody's yelling at him.
Yes.
And directing the officer's attention to him. The rally was not paused at that point, correct?
We are currently still combing through communications and when communications were passed.
So she has no good answer for why the rally wasn't paused. And do you expect her to have a good answer for this? Do you?
Well, I can point you to this communication. It's 2 minutes before the shots started ringing out. Director Cheadle, yes or no? Was there ever a moment where the Secret Service actually considered pausing the rally?
The Secret Service would have paused the rally had they known or been
So the answer is no.
Was an actual threat.
The answer is no. Correct?
I can speak to you in generalities.
No, I don't want generalities. I want specifics. The answer is no. You did not consider pausing the rally, correct?
The people that are in charge of protecting the president on that day would never bring the former president out if there was a threat that had been identified.
Well, they did, because we've now identified 3 points in the 20 minutes before the shooting that the threat emerged.
Yeah, they knew it was a threat, and they let him go out there anyway. She has no good answers for any of this. We'll be combing through this footage all day long. I know Murphy's going to have more analysis on it. Brian Wilson's going to have more analysis on it. But this woman should not even be able to leave the room without resigning. She should be fired on the spot. What an absolute trash director of the Secret Service. They didn't know. They didn't know. Hey, you know, it sure was tough out there. They knew the guy was suspicious up to an hour before. They were taking pictures of him. They labeled him as a threat before Trump went on the stage, and they still let him go on the stage. She should be fired immediately. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Matt Murphy's not in studio, but Matt Murphy's on location. Matt, where are you?
Hello, Mr. Hand. How are you?
I'm good, man. Where are you at today?
We're at the Hermitage Golf Course right off of Old Hickory Drive. There's a wonderful organization in the state that I'm so proud to be affiliated with called Men of Valor. They go into our prison systems and they bring men back to Jesus Christ and God Almighty and get them back into society in a good way. And they're out having their golf tournament today. And so we're going to be a part of that. We'll interview a few of those guys intermittently as we discuss everything that's gone on over the last 8 days. Have you had a chance to kind of just absorb the history that we've been through over the last 8 days, Chris?
Oh, my gosh. It's been insane. It's been insane. And side note, I love what Men of Valor do, and I love that you're out there supporting those guys. Like, we need 100 more Men of Valors.
Absolutely. I mean, it's everything that we claim that we want in an organization. They don't take any money from the government, but they work in concert with the government because they have to get into these prisons. But they do the good work that Christian organizations like Men of Valor should be doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we call on our communities to do. Sadly, instead of that, so often it is the case that the government takes these types of things over and then fails.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
No, it's they do great work. But, yeah, this week, man, has been absolutely insane. All right, let me ask you a question. Let me give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
If Donald Trump doesn't turn his head, is Joe Biden still the nominee?
Yes.
With certainty?
100%.
100%.
100%.
You don't think that they would try and force him out after that? No.
I believe that it became clear to the powers that be after the assassination attempt failed. Whatever you think about that, there's all kinds of speculation because, as I say all the time, a lack of information leads to speculation.
Yep.
And I don't fault anyone for any theory that they have about what happened last Saturday because the director of the Secret Service is sitting as we talk right now, Chris, and she's lying or she's obfuscating or she's refusing to answer. So there's wild amounts of speculation. But once that assassination attempt failed, I think it was certain to the powers that be that with 100% certainty, Joe Biden was going to lose to Donald Trump. And when that became in their minds 100% certain, they knew they had to make a switch. I think if it sadly had gone a different direction, they would look at him as the uniter, the healer-in-chief. He would go out and make healing speeches about moving the country forward, yada, yada, yada. It's an interesting question that I have not thought of, but, that's my answer as quick as I can give it.
Let me hit you with another hypothetical. Do you think that they're pushing Kamala Harris to the front of this nominee list because it gets her out of the way for 2028? Do you think that in their minds they understand this is such a lost cause that they have to get rid of the Kamala Harris problem for 2028?
It's interesting you put it that way because yesterday I'm going to pull up I'm going to just read from, if I can find it. I tweet so much. I'm so on the X machine because it's such a cesspool. But I'll paraphrase what I said last evening, that they understand, Democrats know that Kamala Harris is a Hail Mary, but they also know if they skip her, it is death for them for the foreseeable future. So you call the Hail Mary play. You have to call the Hail Mary, and if she can make a miracle happen, great. But if she doesn't make a miracle happen, like you say, Chris, she's out of the way. A greatly flawed candidate had her shot and lost it, and so it's an open field in 2028.
Yeah, and I don't see any smart politicians like a Josh Shapiro or a Gavin Newsom. Like, we think they're slime balls, but they're smart enough. I don't see them touching this race with 4 months to go.
No. In terms of vice presidency?
In terms of anything,
or
even being the nominee, I don't think they want anything to do with it.
No, I think the smart Democrats, and believe it or not, there are a few of them, they recognize that they should be strategizing for 2028. At this point, I don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but that's where I'm at on it. Yeah.
Hey, all right, so you're out at the Hermitage Golf Course. Where are you again?
Hermitage Golf Course, Old Hickory Boulevard. Come by and see us. If you know where the golf course is, just pull on in. We're right in the atrium, and we would love to see you right in the breezeway.
All right, Murphy's up next. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.